of anything to do with Israel has for a very long time been strongly biased against Israel. Pretty much everywhere around the world, like history, this didn't start on October 7th. The media was anti-Israel before. It's a bit more anti-Israel now. There are a few notable exceptions, and you would think that all of those notable exceptions would be Israeli media, but it turns out they're not. There are notable exceptions in Israel as well, but Israeli media overall has been not pro-Israel. And I often go into Ynet, the Hebrew Ynet, and look at how anti the Israeli government they are, which there's good reason to be, but also anti the Israeli government when it comes to the war, very, very much in support of a capitulation to Hamas deal to bring back the hostages, but also surrender the other important goals of the war. And what I also see on Ynet or Mariv or other news websites is they always complain about anti-Semitism in the West, which of course is a big problem, which people should complain about. They celebrate people who are pro-Israel, against the mainstream, but they themselves are not in that category. I always find that particularly weird, but nobody in Israel is as clearly, consistently, historically anti-Israel as the newspaper Haaretz. Haaretz has become the favorite, the go-to media outlet of anti-Semites all over the world for the important work they do in the cause of convincing people that the Jews are evil, and again, they've grown an international fan base because of that. Welcome to the Daily Objective on Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas, everybody. We have our own way of celebrating here on the channel, especially at these times. Alex, Merry Christmas, and your thoughts on Israeli media in general, and maybe Haaretz in particular.
Yeah, I mean, Haaretz is really engaged in a very extreme feedback loop. And I remember, okay, Haaretz has always been really kind of on the fringe, right? But I remember I used to pick it up sometimes, when it was kind of, given out for free or whatever in a restaurant. Around 2007, 2008, 2009, and I would flick through it, and I don't remember feeling existential dread. I don't remember feeling rage. I don't remember feeling any of these things. Maybe I was just not as sensitive as I am now. But I simply cannot. I cannot pick it up. I would rather read Mein Kampf. I truly would. For me, at least from Mein Kampf, I might actually like learn something. Haaretz is consistently, they're now writing for anti-Semites, and that really is the problem because that's their demographic. That really is the demographic for at least their English language articles. I really wonder sometimes, if we were to compare some headlines or some, quotes from Haaretz and then compare some from like, kind of Soviet propaganda, that they used to have, demonizing Jews and scheming Jews, just replace the Jews with like, scheming Bibi and oh, Bibi with the, baby's blood in his mouth. It's all very dramatic, I have to say. And yeah, I think if we were to compare those two, I'm not sure we would be able to tell which one is which, Soviet propaganda or Haaretz. Um, and the real problem is, Razi, is that this is the go-to um article. This is the go-to, sorry, newspaper. I don't even feel comfortable calling it a newspaper, but it's the go-to newspaper for every person who wants to delegitimize Israel, delegitimize its very existence, because, that is their raison d'etre. And so, they pick up these anti-Semites and people who are, wanting to demonize Israel. They pick up Haaretz, and then they turn around and they say, hey, look, look at this mainstream, the oldest newspaper in Israel. Maybe Yediot is a little bit older, but they're a very old newspaper, very, established. And they say, look at even what they're saying. They're saying, we should try Bibi in the Hague. And so there we go. They're suicidal. They're totally suicidal.
Yeah, yeah. There's a thing with leftists and especially anti-Israel Jews who seem to think that they're going to be immune if the other side wins, because they're the token Jews.
Hmm.
Yeah, it didn't work out for the capo. It's not going to work out for you people. And yeah, maybe I don't know. I don't think that's going to convince them. But anyway, thank you, Yuki Canuck Patriot, for becoming an ARCUK YouTube member. Thank you, PC, for the super chat. PC says, "Hi, Razi. Haaretz is woke." I assume they are. I have to say, I avoid them like the plague that they are nowadays. But yeah, I've read them historically. Again, this isn't a recent shift. This isn't because the experts are telling us it's genocide. They have changed their mind on this. They have always been anti-Israel, but they have never been as popular as they are. And I don't like the arguments when people say, okay, this is who's paying them and they're doing this for the money. I'm sure they're not. I'm sure ideologically they believe the evil things that they say, but I'm also
Hmm.
sure they're making good money from sources you wouldn't expect. Do we have video of any of those
Oh,
sources
oh dear.
ready, Daniel, talking about how much they love Haaretz?
Yes, I just need to pull it out. Which one do you want to see?
Let's see,
Oh,
Candace.
oh, come on. Oh, Razzie, really must we? Must we? Oh gosh. Okay,
So did
hold
you
on. Okay.
believe all you were seeing?
uh, when I first saw it, I kind of wanted to wait. I was trying to just sort through everything
Because I'm
because,
still not sure all the stuff I see is right.
well,
It's very
some of
hard
it,
to.
well, but I'm now getting my information because I ended up signing up for Haaretz in Israeli newspapers because they're protesting it. They're calling this an
No,
ethnic
no, I read that
cleansing.
stuff all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah.
If Israeli newspapers are calling this an ethnic cleansing, why do we not have people in the Western media that have the courage to call it the same? It's clearly not anti-Semitism. Why on earth would Haaretz media or a Haaretz Israeli newspaper be anti-Semitic and want to see the undoing of Jews? Again, this.
Yeah. Even Israeli newspapers. Now, I don't know what she means by newspapers when she's talking about specifically the one newspaper. I'm sure if Pierce, asked her, can you name another Israeli newspaper? She would not be able to. Maybe she meant, just the same newspaper, but on different days. That makes it plural. I never know with Candace, but yeah, anyway, Candace is a fan. Again, that doesn't
Yeah.
the fact that Candace is a fan should be a red flag on anything, but here we knew what we were dealing with. Candace's endorsement only improves it in a way.
And also I love the way she's calling it Haaretz. It's like, maybe learn what the newspaper that you love is actually called, what that, word means. It's not Haaretz, it's Haaretz, which is the land, okay? The land of what, may you ask? The land of genocide. Okay. And this is the whole point with Haaretz, is that I do believe they are true believers. I don't think, I mean, I'm sure that they are getting money from all kinds of, weird places to write, because it's truly subversive, actually, most of the stuff that they're that Haaretz is creating is truly to demoralize the Jews. But, there were a few times where Haaretz had okay coverage, and it was on the probably October 8th and October 9th. It was pretty good coverage, because the Jews were acceptable victims, okay, for those 2 days. So they were victims, therefore it was permissive, okay, to feel pity for them, to talk about, October 7th in its, true form, to feel bad for the Jews as being victims. And then the moment the Jews started to fight back, all right, then they lost all of their legitimacy. The moment, the Jews actually started to develop some degree of self-esteem, and fight back to destroy their enemies, that was it. They lost their legitimacy. Haaretz completely flipped. Now it's all talking about did the IDF kill, like, and even just these headlines they write, like, the IDF killed, like, 50 people on October 7th. It's like, yeah, duh. 1/3 of all deaths that occur in the military are friendly fire. So it's quite clear. You have terrorists who are walking around, basically in pseudo IDF uniforms. Yes, you get a lot of friendly fire incidents, but then they use that to say, look, it's all the Jews. The Jews did it. The Jews, fabricated it, and then they killed their own people. Oh, and Candace, of course, she reads that. I mean, that really should be a very chilling indicator to the editor.
Yeah.
This is who's reading your stuff. Great. Well done.
Yeah. By the way, I'm sure any day now we'll have Candace telling us how the fighter jet, the American fighter jet that America accidentally shot down a couple of days ago was
Yep.
intentional. Maybe that was also the Jews, as she said, they have this amazing ability to be at the right place at the right time. But yeah, it's not just Candace. Do we have any more, Daniel? Maybe there's
Oh, gosh. Oh,
What you
man.
just said there made me think of an article in the newspaper you write for, Haaretz, which was written by Yasmin Levy. And it was headlined, "In a rare break from self-censorship, Israelis got to watch Gaza horrors on their screens." A CNN report from Gaza played on Israel's Channel 13 showed starving women being crushed by desperate masses. But in Israel, people are still shocked by ethnic cleansing accusations. And yet, on that, I mean, the Hebrew version of Haaretz, your newspaper, published a testimony of an Israeli soldier named Hayem Hazahav, who served in Gaza. And he wrote, and I'll quote, "A human life in the Gaza Strip is worth less than the lives of the thousands of stray dogs that roam the area looking for food. While there is a clear order prohibiting shooting dogs unless a soldier is in real danger, when the dog's jaws are locked on him, humans are permitted to be shot without any real restrictions, except for the personal moral boundaries of the soldier holding the weapon." So just that historian you mentioned, just so everyone knows, is Lee Mordecai, who I've interviewed actually on this channel. He's a very courageous, very somber, very, very calm voice. Who's very clinically, and I say this in a positive way, drawn together a whole archive of war crimes which have been committed. It's an invaluable piece of work that he's put together. I do want to ask you about Haaretz, because I keep citing Haaretz.
Yeah, I wonder why Owen keeps citing Haaretz, and why he keeps having people on his channel who are from Haaretz. Owen doesn't have people on who don't confirm his bias. He doesn't do debates, which is fine. We wouldn't have him on to debate. He wants people who will tell us what he wants us to think. Gidon Levy, I believe, lived in Gaza for a while, right? Or was it Gaza? Or
Oh,
he,
man.
he lived in Palestinian-controlled territories and wasn't murdered, which tells you something. If you remember October 7th and what what the Palestinians put into planning to murder as many Jews of any Jew they can possibly get to. If a Jew can survive in Palestinian territories, it says something about him. And if a Jew and an Israeli newspaper is celebrated by Owen Jones, it says something about them as well.
Yeah, it does indeed. Yeah, of course. Well, yeah, you're going to have Gidon Levy because what discussion about suicidal, self-hating. I don't know if it's self-hating. He's just he's a person who is bearing down and continuing to go. Why did he leave? This is the thing that really upsets me about Gidon. Why did he leave the Palestinian controlled territory? I mean, he really if he was in Gaza, why did he come back? But he can't help himself, can he? Yes, of course. And Owen Jones, or should I say, Owen Jones, because, if you're gonna actually you know, pass off like you're really serious about this material, learn how to pronounce people's names. It's very annoying. It's, ha, it's like, it's ridiculous. It's actually very insulting. But because they don't take it very seriously, do they? They don't take their journalism very seriously. They don't take these people very seriously. They just, no, this person who is talking about, the IDF soldiers that are able just to kind of shoot at will. It's ridiculous. I mean, you're gonna have okay. In the IDF, if you arrive to the army and you don't have the correct boots, you're not getting like a ticket saying you've been a naughty boy or a naughty girl. You're going to military jail, okay? And then don't think that you're gonna, get out of the army at the same time. Those days are going to be added to the end of your service, all right? There is no way that you're going to be able just to shoot at will at civilians. I mean, even just it's so far detached from reality. Imagine you're going to say to imagine they absolutely imagine the soldiers detest these civilians, and I'm sure they do. But you also have to remember you'll have to go to jail for years. Okay, you're getting it. You're going to be in, I mean, to say you're going to be in a lot of trouble, it's not going to be a slap on the wrists. It's going to be, you're going to jail for maybe the rest of your life. This is a very serious situation. You're you're supposed to conduct yourself, with a degree of respect.
Yeah. If an Israeli soldier kills a Palestinian against orders and goes to prison, he also doesn't have the possibility of the special kind of parole that you have if you're a Palestinian who murdered Jews and might get out, a month later if that's when the next hostage deal
Yeah.
happens. So yeah, there's the special permit to kill
Oh.
is only for Palestinians when it comes to Israeli policy. Yeah, speaking of how seriously Owen Jones takes his journalism, watch the reality show today, people. It is important because it is about an investigative journalism piece, as Owen Jones calls it. That's not us, kind of mocking him. We will mock him, but that's not. This is his words. There's a few comments in the chat. 972 is a lot more critical than Haaretz. I don't know, but there's a thing with 972 is a website, and Haaretz being legacy media, and newspapers that were around before the internet tend to at least put more into at least the pretense of being journalistic and having some sort of standards. So that's why they are typically held to a different standard. But yeah, the same person also uh, says that basically keeps saying that Haaretz is not as bad. Let's maybe see or hear from anybody else who not only thinks Haaretz is not that bad, but actually thinks they're good. Do we have any more clips, or do we have any screenshots, Daniel?
I have two screenshots or two tweets.
Okay, so this is Jackson Hinkle,
Oh
somebody who
God.
has really become a favorite of anti-Semites in the past year. He's really made a name for himself around this issue, and this is
Mhm.
him saying Israeli media, Haaretz, and that's in all caps, admits they cannot locate any victims or witnesses of sexual violence on October 7th. Now, there are people who did come forward. So this is an absolute lie. I don't know when is this from? Okay, this is from earlier this year. Maybe they've done better since. I mean, the UN, which is as anti-Israel an organization as you can find, has been able to find victims of sexual assault and witnesses. Of course, this is something that we hear a lot, and it's interesting to put it that way, considering many of the people were slaughtered. So there are victims that you can't find because they're dead or they were taken hostage. But yeah, the fact that this happened and the evidence for it and the proof of it is overwhelming. And this is another one of those things that anti-Semites repeat, and Haaretz helps them repeat.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is that Haaretz is completely engulfed with the sort of suicidal altruistic ideology that underpins that really kind of underpins the far leftist Jewish sentiment. And that is that maybe there were sexual assaults, okay? Maybe there were. Like, this is going to be their opinion. Maybe there were. But, can they really be blamed? Right? The Palestinians, they've had a hard life. So, yeah, I mean, they're going to they're going to kill some people, of course, but it's the Jews' fault. And yeah, I mean, you sometimes you're going to have to do a little bit of raping because, I mean, these people have, you know, there's they're under siege. Yeah, I mean, it's terrible. It's a blockade. So yeah, it's all it would it's almost like, kind of don't talk about it. Like, don't talk about the sexual violence because it would be a tool of the Israelis, or the tool of the Israeli right, or legitimizing the Israeli government, or I mean, that's probably, that is the angle that they take on things. Their goal in their editorial is to change Israeli society by destroying it.
Yeah, and somebody else who would like to see Israeli society and the people who make up Israeli society destroyed is Owen Jones. I know people say we cover him too much, and this is going to be the second day in a row that we talk about him, but this investigative journalist piece, as he calls it, into the BBC's pro-Israel bias, as he claims, is important. It's important in its role within the anti-Israel propaganda machine. So we are going to cover that on the reality show, which is coming up immediately after this show. Thanks, Alex, for joining me. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you on the reality show in a couple of minutes.